Good morning and thank you for joining us. This is Sunrise and I am Alero Edu.
Good morning. I'm Neota Egbe and indeed thank you for joining us.
Today is D-Day in Ondo State.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's D-Day. No, it's not D. It's E-Day.
Okay, well.
Yeah. Election Day.
Today is the day. It's all happening in Ondo State.
Yeah.
Well, what time is it?
It's on already.
They should have started about 8:30, yes.
No, they have started.
Good,
both.
good.
You know, the process is consistently, as they say, they're consistently working on improving, and also they come, do accreditation, and voting starts immediately. So
Good.
They've started.
What was that thing that was used in Benin again? The Z something or the other?
I don't remember.
The system that was sending the results straight to the central gathering point, so that there was no avenue for anybody to fiddle.
I don't think there were many people who bothered about the name. They were more interested in the fact that
it was happening.
It's working. And INEC said they're going to adopt that. And in the build-up to the election, this period also, we had INEC talk about people bringing up proposals for electronic voting machines. And all of that. So, well, let's just say the pandemic has given room for innovations in different areas of our social-cultural space. And it's how we go forward.
Yes.
That will now...
You know, when people were talking the last time, well, not Benin, I'm talking about the general elections. People were talking about voting on our devices, and some people said, how many people have devices in this country? How many people have telephones? But if that option should exist, those with phones would vote on their phones so that the polling stations will not be crowded.
True. And the thing is that everybody, or almost everyone has some kind of device or the other.
Well,
and as someone said...
They say not so in the villages.
Well, the argument in some quarters is that even the RSSD code that's used to transfer funds don't work as effectively as they should. Some have been known to truncate. So at the end of the day, it might not work because those who are arguing for everyone using their device were using that as a basis for that argument. So the technology that's needed and all of that, whichever way it is, I would think that let's be thinking progressively. We can't continue to do things the same way and expect a different result. If we want things to change, we have to be seen to be making the effort. Or be seen to be thinking about making the effort. That would also be a plus. But it's also good that leaders listen to their followers. You know, someone says the mark of a good leader is the ability to listen. No, not hear. There's a difference between hearing and listening. You need to listen and hear the unsaid things, hear the unsaid feelings, just listen. It helps your leadership.
Yes, and for those of you who live in Lagos, the Third Mainland Bridge is shut until midnight tomorrow. Shut completely. Am I correct?
Yeah, completely shut.
Yeah. So you have no access, whether going or coming.
Well, if you
to the island.
If you don't have to go to the island, you mustn't go to the island. I mean, you mustn't go to the island. Make a phone call, send a text, and well, if it were days of the Okada bikes in Lagos, which there are no more, you would say, okay, the Okadas will help to make things easier, but. If you can help it, please avoid movement. But let's see what...
if you don't have to go out, don't go out.
Even that's part of the COVID-19 protocol. Don't stay home and use your face mask.
Yes.
How many today?
We're going to open with ending police brutality. That's in light of all the calls for the scrapping of the SARS, the special arm of the police.
Or reforming the police as a case of view. Then World Hospice and Palliative Care Day.
What's that all about?
You will get to hear about it.
And
Interesting
then we're going to be talking about the International Day of the Girl Child. I mean, the girl child is in so much trouble that she needs a special day dedicated to her.
And then we would be looking at the Arise Women's Conference. But in the midst of all of this, in the midst of all these conversations we'll be having, we'll be dashing to Ondo to talk to our correspondents that are in there covering the elections. If you were tuned to Channels TV from 8 a.m., you saw our correspondent, our political correspondent, Sean Kimberley, talking about the different things that were happening. He had some election observers who were there to also bring us up to speed about the plans and processes. We also saw that indeed the process had started. Howbeit, while most were wearing the face mask, Alera, some were not, most of them were. And then there was that other bit about social distancing.
Most of them were. Well, that's wonderful news.
At least the ones we saw.
Compared to Benin.
Well, call it a lesson learned.
Good.
But social distancing is still a bit tricky in that regard. So we'll keep you updated on what's happening. At the moment, we'll take a short break and we'll be back. Don't go away.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Now let's get the show on the road. The cry to end police brutality continues to increase in volume as celebrities and youths across the country hit the streets this week to protest. The protest came on the backdrop of a recent killing of a young man in Delta State by the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad. The youths are asking for the scrapping of the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad as this incessant killing of young people cannot continue. To look at this with us this morning, it's my pleasure to welcome a legal practitioner, Mr. Segun Awosoya. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am.
We also have a security consultant, Mr. Sanusi Ture.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
I want to know what you think about these calls for the scrapping of the Federal Anti-Robbery Squad.
Yeah, I think I believe the calls stem from the campaign that started in 2017, given the study of the crime based on the trajectory of the Nigerian police and their tactical squads in relations with impunity, the culture of impunity. You know, back in the days, we used to think that we are dealing with a few bad eggs until we realized that there was no consensus or a general meeting where they agreed to be killing people and nothing will happen. So based on that, we found out that we need to engage the culture, and to engage the culture of impunity, it is not by claiming that some people are bad and some people are good, because it depends on the influence, over their life, especially within that institution. It's all about how you can begin to increase the leadership, give them a sense of purpose within the organization, and also increase the supervision. But again, we look at the laws that actually empower them to operate. And as at that time, we're dealing with the 1943 Police Act, which simply was a constabulary, which makes them a police that takes care of the people who rules us, as against those that they are meant to serve, the people who they are supposed to be protecting. So you really couldn't blame them, because this is an institution that is based on a paramilitary institution where they take orders. So they can't really work based on their own initiative, except for the orders that they are given. So with that, we embarked on engaging all arms of government, the legislature, the judiciary, and the executives. So from there, we have a bill, Police Trust Fund Bill, and then the Police Act of 2020, which tends to democratize the police and reposition them for enhanced service delivery. So that's where we are today. But the call for NSAS increased because people are beginning to see that there's a gap in the implementation and execution of the change that they have been crying for, which is about the translation of all those legislation into action on the street, where police officers are still acting with impunity, where phones are still checked on the street, all under the guise of we're trying to fight cyber crimes, where people are being abducted from their homes under the allegation that they are Yahoo boys, and then they are being extorted, and the rest of it, and then to the point where people are being killed extrajudicially. So this is one of the things that the people now want to say, and now demanding from the IG to shut down this units. It's not just about the SARS, by the way. The SARS were just the poster boy for the call, because they were leading that impunity, but every single tactical squad that we have that has the power to kill based on probable cause. So that they should shut them down.
Has the power to kill.
Yes, yes, they have the power to kill. SWAT have power to kill as well.
Okay.
But in our environment, a lot of arbitrariness, is involved. So which is why we're saying things should be done professionally.
Okay. Mr. Tura, you're a security consultant. I would like us to look at how effective the squad has been to start with, because some civil groups are saying that SARS should not be outrightly scrapped. It should be reformed. So let's look at how effective they are, whether these calls to reform them is in the right direction.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm also coming from a police background myself. Used to work for the Metropolitan Police. The functions of SARS is very important in our society. We have a lot of very violent crimes. And with the advent of technology, some of those crimes have even, evolved. And some of the technological aspects that are involved with these crimes make it easier for, SARS officers to be able to apprehend criminals. So when he talks about the, the issue of mobile phones, IMEI devices are generally used in crimes that are involved with violence, for instance, kidnapping. Someone is kidnapped, your IMEI device is taken. A robbery occurs, your IMEI device is taken. So sometimes you can see why maybe these guys might be looking within that direction. But, there's a standard operating procedure for everything you do within law enforcement. And talking about discharging your weapons, they don't, when you say they have a license to kill, yes, but within certain parameters.
Yeah.
There are reasons why you can discharge your firearms, and in the defense of yourself, and if in a direct response to telling a suspect to stop and they haven't stopped, and they've committed a very violent crime, then you can discharge your firearms.
Yeah, but you can discharge without killing them.
Obviously.
You can discharge them on the leg.
It depends.
On the arm.
If you are in defense of your life or someone else's life, it can be fatal. Yeah. So there are reasons why, but you just can't go and arrest someone with the phone, beat them up, and do all sorts of the crazy things that we hear. Not all officers are like that. They're not. We need to first of all, get that right. The Nigerian police force has a lot of very fine gentlemen, fine officers who are doing their best within a very, very difficult economic, environment to do the right thing. So in calling for the end of SARS, I can understand where a lot of people are coming from. We get frustrated by the fact that things happen and you talk to authority and it seems as though nothing is being done about it, even though things are being done. But sometimes those things seem like a drop in the ocean because we have a myriad of issues surrounding security generally, not just within the police, but across the board.
Yeah.
So as a result, you get this emotional reaction to the fact that we must do this. But we have to be very careful, right?
So, but let me just permit me to interrupt you.
Sure.
When you say emotional reaction, there are certain things that help to build that emotion.
Agreed.
One of them is where leadership appears not to listen to the people. The other one is where there are rules of engagement, but the parties that are supposed to be engaging are not playing by the rules. Case in point, you have the police authority, the police institution as it is.
Yes.
There are rules they're supposed to operate by.
Yeah.
But how many of them are following those rules as they are?
Yeah. Okay. Now, Segun and I were discussing this back in the in the back room earlier. We all want a functional police force or security generally, but there are certain things that we need to have in place for these things to work. For a police officer to be extremely professional, right? There are a myriad of things. Now, these things require funding. They require funding. You want somebody to be professional in carrying out their job in service provision, but you have not provided the actual environment.
Wherewithal.
Yeah, the actual environment for them to be functional. I explained something to Shagun earlier about when I was in a bank, and I was part of the project management team that created this bank, and I created the security department. Something as simple as giving the security guards lovely uniforms, and having given them that uniform, proper standard operating procedures that they carried out to the letter. And when I asked them whether there was anything else they wanted, they said, no. Oga, you have elevated us. You have made us feel important in this bank. They were so happy to come to work every day. These are things we don't look at. State of mind of individuals. There are a lot of problems in Nigeria as a country, generally, where things have been left dormant for so long that the culture of not doing anything is now ingrained in our daily lives.
Okay.
That it makes it very difficult for a lot of things to happen.
We'll just take a quick break. I like where you're going, providing the environment for the policemen to abide by the rules. That environment includes uniform and mental image creation. But we'll look at
many other things.
We'll look at all of this when we come back. We're looking at policing, not just about ending the police brutality, but policing in the country generally. How can we get it better? We're back in a moment. Don't go away. Thank you for staying with us. We're still looking at this matter of ending police brutality and policing generally. Before we went on that break, Shagun Wosanya who's a legal practitioner.
I'm an advocate, actually.
An advocate.
Civil rights advocate.
Civil rights advocate. He had started this matter of the end SARS, 2017, right?
Yeah.
And he's talked about what has happened since then. And then Toure has talked about what it's been like to provide the environment, because I asked a question about rules of engagement. There are operational modalities, what they call modus operandi, that's provided for any institution. But even for the personnel in that environment to work within that operational guideline, there's something about, what do you call it, mental...
State of mind.
State of mind.
State of mind,
and
yeah.
which needs to be created. But let me bring it back to you, who's been advocating this thing. The calls for end SARS. I mean, yes, is it just about end SARS?
We need to just understand the meaning of that simple
because
hashtag.
the protests and all that are still going on. There's one happening right now in Ikoyi.
Of course. It will go on because the authorities are not listening to the people. If they listen enough, it is not all those things we're seeing today. We have actually mentioned it to them long before now that it's going to get to this point. If they continue to be insensitive to the call of the people, and what are they asking for? They are saying shut down impunity. End SARS simply means end the impunity, the culture of impunity, where people get away with crimes. If an armed robber commits a crime with a gun, we know what the penalties are. Yeah. But what about the police officer who is paid by taxpayers' money, maintained by taxpayers' money, who used the state's gun to rob innocent citizens? And then he gets to be transferred and we keep seeing him. What does that tell us? If super corrupt people or cultists in our environment are seen wearing police uniform and brandishing guns on our street, what kind of confidence or perception do we think we should have about SARS operative or special operatives? If you call a unit or units within the police system special tactical squad or special anti-robbery squad, special anti-cultism or anti-kidnapping, and they are no longer special, they are all over the place, collecting bribes, seizing people, indiscriminately killing people. How do you want people to feel towards that? Do we call our environment a civilization where law and order is being broken by the same people who are supposed to uphold law and order? So these are the issues. And they are saying, we have heard you talk about reforms in 2015, 2016, down to 2020, and nothing has changed on ground. People are still being abducted, people are still being killed and raped in the police station. So we're simply saying, in as much as we understand that the objective of the call is to shut down the impunity, that is all tactical squads who are acting as law unto themselves, and the holistic and the end goal is about reforming the entire police in Nigeria, the police NG. But what have we done about the end goal? We have been able to facilitate laws. The Police Act is there. The new Police Act, the Police Trust Fund is there also to solve the problem of this money issue.
The new Police Act, there are issues with that one. Some people are complaining about the issue where police can just arrest you.
No. There's no such issue. The provision there is very clear. The term that they are interpreting in lay terms is a global provision. There's something called reasonable cause. There's something called probable grounds. You understand? Without that, you are not even protected, because there should be a reason behind an investigation in the first instance. There should be a reason why there must be warrant. If you are telling me that a police cannot arrest somebody society, have deemed to be an armed robber caught in the process, that he has to first go and get a warrant before he can arrest such, then there's a problem. And also, police is not just there to engage crime. They're also there to stop it from happening in the first instance. So we're not condemning the action of it. What we're doing here is different from what's happening in America. We're not defunding the police. We're not scrapping the police. No, we're simply saying there are elements within the police structure that are actually making life difficult for patriots in the system. Where there are actions or cultures within the police that are destructive, that are disturbing the perception of the police itself. And an average patriot in the police right now is finding it difficult to be professional because they are rewarding impunity. How will you feel if somebody who is 10 times your junior is now your superior and he can't do anything up there? And then you are still here receiving very low salaries and then being blamed for his crimes. So these are issues that we have. And nobody can speak about it in the system but us. And that's why we also say that when people get robbed by police officers, get kidnapped by police officers, or their families get killed by police officers, who do you think they will run to? The same police that they cannot trust? And that's why we needed to build something. And that's why we built a bridge over that institutional gap by creating Social Intervention Advocacy Foundation, where everybody have been running to now. But of course, instead of creating another silo that the police can easily see as a competition, we merged our operations with the Complaint Response Unit, where we can strengthen the institution and help them win trust from society, which is one of the fundamental provisions of the Police Act 2020, which also states that police must operate accountably and transparently, and also that they must uphold fundamental human rights according to the African Charter and several other charters that Nigeria is part of. So this is exactly what we're discussing. And if we were to implement all the laws that we have in Nigeria pertaining to the criminal justice system, there is no room for SARS or rogue police officers operating in our system.
So the problem is not that we don't have the laws as in country for us to implement. The problem is that no one's listening or looking at the laws.
The issue is that the president just signed the Police Act into law of recent. And with the advent of this, a lot of things are going to happen, very quickly. But again, we don't engage culture like a switch. Things will not just happen immediately. Police didn't get bad yesterday. It has been based on years of dereliction, running into 90 years of the police system. But the argument here with the people who are saying NSAS and reform police NG is simply, you cannot prioritize a 28-year-old ad hoc program in the system over a 90-year-old police institution. So, and also we cannot begin to say that the tactical squad, who are merely less than 10,000 people, are far more important than over 350,000 police officers that are there, who have the same basic training. So we must, when we're dealing with cancer and cancerous nodes, you do not culture cancerous nodes.
Okay.
You cut the cancer.
So and I before you ask the question, we need to quickly dash to Ondo. We'll come back to look at this whole matter because I was asking the question, New Police Act versus State Police. You will look at that. Sure. But we'll dash to Ondo State where one of our correspondents, Dare Doe, is on standby to bring us up to speed what's happening. Hello, Dare. What's your situation now?
Hello, I'm reaching you live from Kiribo. This is Akpoi Ward 2 in Ondo State. This is in the south. By south, I mean the senatorial district is south. And voting is on the way. If you can look on my right, that is what a lot of people are voting. And what we've observed so far since the voting process started is crowd control. They've been trying to ensure that people stay in line. They've been trying to ensure that people comport themselves. What they did here as soon as voting started was to prioritize the elderly, and they allowed them to vote first. But that didn't also go well as well, because many of the old ones needed help from the younger ones in the queue, but security operatives said, that wouldn't happen, and that caused a little bit of altercation, and that has been resolved now. But what you can see is the voting process, which started at exactly 8:30, and from what the officers here, the electoral officers here said, it would end by 2:30. But by standard, if you're still on the queue and you're here, even if it's 2:30, you still get to cast your vote. Safety protocols set by NCDC because of COVID-19, yes, it's still also a problem. The queues are packed. There's actually no space. Some not wearing the face mask, and security operatives have stepped in at so many points to get people to at least create that distance. But all they're getting is people just want to cast their vote, get it done and over with. Back to your studio.
Thank you very much, Dare. We'll get back to you to let us know what's happening. Indeed, voting has started, he says, and it's supposed to end about 2:30. But as far as you're in the line, you'll still be able to cast your vote even after that 2:30 hour. Thank you. We'll come back to Dare and the other correspondents who are spread across Ondo State.
Impressive that they started at 8:30.
Indeed. Things are getting better.
Yes. Now, Mr. Ture, how important is it to this cause that the president has stressed again, I think last night or so, his commitment to reforming the police force?
Well,
the police. It's no longer a force.
Yes.
The police, yes.
A welcome move by the president. It was very timely, and I think it's important. I would have preferred if he had come out with a statement live. It would have been better. It instills more confidence and would help to dampen the agitation around the country. It is like Shegun mentioned earlier. These problems did not begin yesterday. It's taken a very long time for these things to develop. And there are, for example, he has worked on these bills and helped to make them come to light. They are there now. The president has signed the 2020 Police Act, 2020 Police Act into law. And there are provisions there that will make policing much easier and would make it more professional, as it were, because obviously they have been operating with very archaic rules and regulations and laws and whatnot. But having said that, it's easy to just have something on a piece of paper. To actually implement these things means there needs to be proper funding attached to it in terms of, the protocols that are involved, the standard operating procedures, and all those things to be carried out. You must have the proper infrastructure in place to make accountability and transparency be the focal point of your operations. So, for instance, there are two key areas that we mentioned. The custody area is the engine room of a police station, where everything begins, the whole judicial process begins. So, in terms of officers, when they make arrests, in line with this new act, and the administration of the detainee and everything till they are released is very important. But how you do that means you need to, first of all, remodel our police stations. Police stations are old and archaic. Doesn't work. We want our arrested persons to be in humane environments. Yes. First of all, you're not supposed to bring an arrested person into the glare of the general public. You bring them through the reception area, everybody sees them. It's not supposed to be that way. There's supposed to be a back way entry. There's supposed to be a custody area where everything happens. That front desk is merely an inquiry point. So first of all, you need to redesign that. Then they're looking at hiring 10,000 more people into the force. Why don't you create a new job function called a custody officer, where their thinking is, the culture that they will develop is different from what already exists and is based purely on the administration of the Criminal Justice Act and also humane treatment of individuals when they're brought in. So that creates a sort of control when officers who carry out these arrests are bringing their arrested persons. So you, as the custody officer, deals directly with this individual. You are the only person that has the keys to the cells. Nobody goes in or comes out without your say-so. You are the person that books in this individual. But before you book them in, you question the officer and ask him, why was this individual arrested? Is it in accordance with the Criminal Justice Act? Is it in accordance with the Police Act of 2020? Sets of series of questions that must be ticked. And when they're ticked and he's satisfied, then detention is authorized. So there are a series of things that need to be done, and very quick wins that could be done immediately, so that there is some kind of human rights abuse reduction for now, before we bring in technological services that help to further reduce that. Because the whole world at the moment...
Mr. Ture, all this you're saying, I'm sure will sound like grammar to the Nigerian, because the policeman we come across on the street who does the arresting and all that, I mean, we would question the level of his intellect to be able to do all these things that you're talking about.
You heard what I just said. I said there are 10,000 people that they would like to recruit, right? That they want to recruit.
There should be a different breed.
A breed of people that they recruit solely for this job. Okay. Within police stations or commands. So that will help you first and foremost to control the excesses of officers out there who will no longer be able to bring people in arbitrarily and get away with it. I mentioned something to Segun earlier. I don't know if you remember Sunday Bada, may God rest his soul. He used to run for Nigeria. He was also the DPO of Ikoyi Police Station. In 2009, when I came back, I went to see him. We've been friends for years. And as we were leaving, he looked in the cell and saw an individual and said, "Are you still here?" And the guy said, "Yes, okay, I'm still here." So where's the investigating police officer? He called him and said, "Why is this guy still here?" He said, "Oh God, the people will bring him. We'll not see them again." He almost went crazy. He was seeing me off. He said, no, let's go back to my office. Bring the guy out. And he had to really plead with this individual and say, sorry. He had zero tolerance for unprofessionalism. But again, he didn't have a system that makes it possible for him to see who's in the cell on a daily basis. Technology does that. You sit in your office, the DTO, the DCO, the DPO sit and can see who is in custody.
Yeah.
You have a custody officer who only puts people in the cell that have due process applies to, that have been arrested according to law. These are the things that we can do immediately to, first of all, sanitize the whole area of custody. An officer will no longer be able to just go out there and arbitrarily just bring someone in and then ask for bail. But again, like we said, there are so many impediments for these things to be extremely effective because there are lots of costs involved. The Metropolitan Police budget for 44,000 officers is £3.5 billion. That's close to 2 trillion naira. There you go.
That? 1/5 of our total budget?
Yes.
There you go. So our officers, first of all, are grossly inadequately paid. I personally believe a constable shouldn't earn anything less than 400,000 naira as starting salary.
Now, don't you go starting another problem in Nigeria.
But the president has done it for the education sector by increasing salaries. And look at that. Look at what he has done. The most critical sectors in any society, law enforcement first and foremost, education and health. Why are we not spending on these areas? We have very serious problems at the moment, security-wise, all over the country. Now, when there are no controls in your society, opportunistic crime goes through the roof.
Yeah.
How are we going to deal with the opportunistic crimes? You're supposed to be able to put in controls that reduce the opportunistic crimes so that the law enforcement agencies can focus on the habitual criminals.
You know, this matter is very interesting and at the same time very sensitive as well. The question of, when you say low-hanging fruit, what comes to mind quickly is consequence management. Do we have consequence management system? Who gets rewarded when they do right? Who gets punished when they do wrong? Is that happening anywhere? We'll talk about that when we come back from this break. Just stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Wasborn sent this in. That's Sam Wasborn says, many bad eggs in SARS. My nephew was held at gunpoint on the highway. He was forced to unlock his phone even after he showed them his ID card. He's a banker. He was taken to an ATM and 100,000 naira was extorted from him. He was left emotionally brutalized. Professor Nakena says, police must curb the excesses of the few delinquent and overzealous PSAS officers who are maligning their image. Already irascible relationship between the public and the police. They must be reformed by independent body of security experts set up by the IG and superintendent by the Police Service Commission. Quite a number of tweets coming in, more of them talking about ending SARS. But this matter, before we went to America, I was talking about consequence management. There's a new police act. Fantastic. It's been signed into law. How many of the policemen even know about the new police act? How many of them know their rights? How many of them understand what their benefits are by the new law under which they are supposed to be operating? How many citizens even know their rights as regards where they stand with the policemen and all of that? So, and then the question of consequence management. Let's bring it to you.
I think there needs to be a lot of orientation. That's, public orientation and also within the police on the new culture. You see, when you're trying to change a culture or engage a culture, you're not forcing it on people. You're showing them this is what you're being used to, and this is what is new, and these are the benefits to you if you do right. From there will be a reward system. For example, if you look at the police itself, there should be a leadership, a role model, so to say, a leadership strata that begins to impress on them what they will get or gain if they do right, which is the reward system itself. And then there should be effective management or supervision of every cadre within the police structure. Those are absent. And why? We have the Police Service Commission, whose duty is to recruit police officers, to promote police officers, and also to discipline them. But again, if you report 2 police officers for a crime, it will take 2 years or more for Police Service Commission to come out with the final verdict of this. And why? Funding. Because the IG is responsible for funding the Police Service Commission. So if he doesn't want them to work, he certainly just use this money for something else. So that has to change. If you don't make the Police Service Commission independent, then there's going to be a problem. They will continue to be moribund. And then the police officers who are other ranks, they also need to have their voice in there. Because at times, when a boss tells you to go and bring 5 Okada towards the weekend, what do? Do you say no and disobey a direct order? Or do you just carry it out and then wait until it becomes a culture to the point where your conscience no longer pricks you when you extort money from people? And again, when people say SARS, we have this problem of this ubiquitous brand syndrome where they tell the child to go and buy Surf. Any detergent works. Or go and buy Fleet. Any insecticide works. So when you see a police officer who is not wearing uniform, they are all SARS as far as Nigerians are concerned. They are all SARS. And I can tell you for sure that in Lagos State, for example, since 2017, the federal SARS in Lagos have been so wonderful and so cooperative. They don't do patrols. They don't go around. All the caricatures that we see out there, they are nothing close to the SARS in Lagos. They wear wonderful uniform. In fact, most people don't even know them because they only go out when they are engaging armed robbery cases. But can I say the same thing for anti-cultism or anti-kidnapping in Lagos? No, I can't. Because most of the crimes, because we receive all the calls and the texts and the distress calls and all, we know where they are coming from. And again, the word SARS, even the IG can't keep track. Because we have federal SARS, we have zonal intervention squad, every state have their own SARS, and every police station now have their own runs team, some organized crime syndicate who throws away their uniform, wear t-shirt, and go and kidnap people in the evening and ask for ransom. So all these people will be blamed their actions will be blamed on SARS, and then the SARS operatives will be demoralized when they are hearing things like NSARS. So what am I saying? That is not to say that SARS in some states are not terrorists, domestic terrorists. In Rivers, for example, I don't think that is policing any longer. That is the homegrown terrorism. straight. There's no mincing words. And there are some CPs in this country who are just there simply because they feel the position, it's their turn to oppress people and it's their turn to rule. And they do as they please. If you report the crimes of their fellow police officers to them or the people under them, rather than for them to take action, they will see it as an attack on them and they will threaten you and they will find a way of, roping you in some things and then getting you incarcerated. It has happened severally. And then if you begin to report these CPs, it will take donkey years for them to be questioned for the crimes that they are committing. So who will see all these things? And the reason why we have not even given out or published our reports in 4 years is simply because we don't want to create unnecessary tension or blacklist the police of our country. We are being patriotic about this. That's why we're not creating anything outside the police, but helping to strengthen the institutions. The data from the Criminal Complaint Response Unit, I doubt if the IG have seen them. If he has, he will not be speaking the way he's speaking today. So the issue about scrapping SARS or reforming SARS, to the public, let them know that we have identified the dysfunctionality within this system and we're shutting it down for maintenance. You don't argue with them about, no, we are reforming, we're not. When your words about reforming for the past 10 years have been falling to the ground. So it's a perception thing. Understand and empathize with the people. Know that they are the ones dying, not you. And do what they ask. Shut it down and bring it back, with a different, with a reimagined mindset. And that's exactly what we're saying. So there's no argument about that unless you don't have humanity.
Ture, Emmy says, consequence management in Nigeria police. Perhaps you have not been to the area stations, so I can't bet it doesn't exist. But sometimes people say some of these things out of pain.
Frustration, yeah.
Out of, I've been there and I've seen this thing.
Yeah.
What's the hope?
Well, life in itself is quite difficult. And we live in a very difficult terrain. Nigeria is a difficult country to live in. Like you said, a culture has been built over time, and it's going to take time to break the walls of those cultures down. Steps are being made, right? The Police Act has been brought in, signed into law. And we hope and we pray that these things will have, an effect on the professionalism of the police officers as time goes on. Yeah. But as I'm glad, Segun clarified the issue of the FSARs and all the other tactical units that are, probably moonlighting as SARS officers, and everybody is confused and whatnot. And also looking at the fact that the Police Service Commission, which is supposed to be a body that, monitors the behavior of the performance of officers in order for them to be promoted. The Complaints Commission should actually be part of them, and they should not be funded by under the IG at all whatsoever. And I don't think they should also be headed by an ex-police officer.
Exactly.
I don't think so. They should be headed by maybe a lawyer or someone of great repute in society that can have a team that can actually go out there quietly, look at what is happening in police stations, monitoring performances of the force in general, come up with reports and look at who's doing what. Now, the X squad, which is part of the police, which is almost like their internal affairs, was quite functional in 2017. Yeah. Very functional. I've had 10 experiences where people called me and told me about erring officers, and I called the then head of the X Squad, DC Amechi Lumilu at the time, and immediately he would tell me who to speak to in the different states.
This X-Squad you're talking about, is it what the common man calls RoboCop in Lagos?
No. X-Squad are an internal organization that deal with the erring officers.
Okay.
So there was an incident that happened near where I live, and my friend called me and said her driver had been hit by some big man, and the big man got upset, dragged the driver to the police station, and he was manhandled by the police officers. When she told me, I called. Next thing, within an hour, that officer was arrested and taken to Area B in Ikeja. This happened on many occasions. So they were quite effective. Now they've been disbanded as a federal unit and domesticated in states. So, which I think is also wrong. It shouldn't be that way, in my opinion. It should come from the federal, and they are away from all these individuals, you know, and they can effectively carry out their performances, their duties, and make sure that officers who do err are dealt with. Because there's a lot of things that are happening. You know, you go to a police station, they're asking you for bail, which shouldn't happen. You know, you're being locked up. I've been to a police station recently, and the investigating officer is telling me to write this and write. I said, "Excuse me, are you serious? I will write what I want to write based on my statement. You're not to tell me what to write. Are you kidding me?" He looked at me and said, "No." I said, "Please, if you don't behave yourself now, I will report you. I'll take your badge number and everything." And I said, "Do you realize I'm a former police officer as well?" And looked at me and sort of backed off. Now, a lot of people don't know their rights in Nigeria. The sensitization part of sensitizing the people on the police 2020 Police Act is also very important. People need to understand what their rights are. What is supposed to happen when you are arrested? What is supposed to happen when you go into a police station?
Who should be teaching the people this? Who should be making the people aware of all these things?
We all should. We all should.
Take responsibility.
We all should take responsibility. Because ultimately, security is our
Everybody's
responsibility. Business. It's all our business. We shouldn't leave it just to the police alone. So the different groups, the different groups, the different bodies, the different, everybody, you know, develop websites on how to engage the police. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of training of officers as well. And we need to train officers on ethnic sensitivity, religious sensitivity. These were trainings that we had to do on a regular basis. Because if a Sikh officer is brought, a Sikh detainee is brought into the custody, arrested person, you must understand that the turban he wears is a symbol of his religion. You don't touch it. Do you understand? You must be sensitive to who he is. You know, some of these things need to be, officers need to understand, because we live in a very ethnic and very religious society. All these are part of the things that the police need to understand. There's a lot of work to do, and we all have to be engaged in carrying out this work.
That's what we're saying. We should be very careful about the kind of people we bring into the system. If you look at the recruitment process of the police, as aware, most of the time you have politicians pumping in their thugs into the system. We have imams, pastors, and the rest bringing in the people who are not even fit for society into the system, vouching for them that they are fit. And then some people even struggle to make sure that they become not just police officers, but they get pushed quickly into the SARS command. So when they now get there, you can imagine how they're going to use that power.
But this matter of, Enzo also says SARS is a true reflection of who we are. We, the police, that is we Nigerians and the police, says we all need cognitive restructuring.
But we're not murdering ourselves, are we?
This matter of, recently the IG approved community policing, not just the IG, the government generally signed off on community policing. And a lot of people have hailed that move. Now,
we didn't hail that.
Okay,
move.
I said a lot of people, I didn't say everybody. The matter of recruitment comes into mind because there was this thing about recruiting constables from society that will be part of this whole community policing thing. What's the guarantee that the right set of people will come in? But hold on, I have a friend. I always tell this story because when we were in school together, I served in Kebbi, Burning Kebbi. That's where I met him. Nice guy, but he's the one that would always scatter everything. But he's one of the most gentle and generous people. But he will make sure that everything is scattered. He's very stubborn. Then I hear that he's in the police force. And when I met, I say, "Guy, are you okay? What are you doing in the police force? You're a madman. You shouldn't be there." He said, "Don't go there." He says, "We need to do things right. And I'm in the police force to do things right." Okay. He's in the police still today. And he's doing things right. And when you see him when he's working, very disciplined. He's the kind of person that you're a thief. He knows you're a thief and he'll come and say, "Please put your hands behind your back, or please put your hands where I can see them. He's that kind of person in this country. I've also met policemen who stopped us along the road. Please, may I see your papers? I was shocked. Please, may I see your papers?
Yes.
Okay. He looks at it.
Yes.
They said, okay, you may go. You may go. Nigeria. And then the man in front of you is another policeman. I say, hello, officer, please, can you move so that you want to teach me how to do my job?
Yes,
Same thing.
See this man, though.
Yeah.
So how do we ensure that the right kind of people come in? And how do we even help to affect the thinking of those who are there already, to let them know that we do value you, but we also want you to understand that we are human as well?
There are so many gaps in the way we throw around terms in this country. The word restructuring, the word community policing, and the rest. But let me correct the impression. And I'm sure that a lot of people have cashed out of the idea of the community policing principle as to mean, police version of Amotekun, raising their own counter, intelligence, whatever, to engage the community. That is not the idea behind the community policing. Community policing concept, it's about you raising police officers, giving them the sense of responsibility to the community outside criminal investigation. We only see police officers in Nigeria when they are trying to solve crime, or when they are trying to implicate you, or when they are trying to look for reasons to extort you. But we want that to change. We want police officers to go to school and teach civics in school. We want them to go to universities and engage people so that as they grow with you, they know you. So when they say this guy has done something, is it not so and so? I know your parent, I know your mother, I know everything. So we're not throwing perception around that I think because you are young, you are a Yahoo boy. Or we too, on our own side as citizens, because he's wearing black and he's a police officer, he's corrupt. So that will make us understand ourselves and understand the principle that says that the police are the public and the public are the police. So it is about bridging that gap between the society and the police, that we have community policing principles. It's about you seeing police officers and not being afraid. It's about our children seeing police officers and saying, I want to be like him when they grow up. Or my hero is a police officer. Or you are reading an article or an essay in school from nursery school and they're saying, I want to be a police officer like so and so. That's exactly what the idea is about. It shouldn't cost Nigeria 13 billion. Despite the fact that we don't have money now, they are collecting 13 billion for community policing principle. And then they say, what do you want to do with the money? They say, I want to buy weapons. I cried. Because this should not be happening. It shouldn't. Intelligence-led policing. In Nigeria, the idea of policing is like about, society is getting complicated. Because of that, we should be driving armored tank on the street. It is not the weapons that solves the problem in society. It is your intelligence. And that's why you see in the UK, you don't even carry guns. No. So you don't need to. I have not carried gun for the past 4 years now. And I'm policing the police. We are making arrests. We are recovering funds in billions. And I have not physically fought anybody. It's about intelligence and building trust. And you can't build trust without engaging the community and the people. So these are the things we're talking about. When you're saying you're hiring constables, we're saying just like the road safety field marshals or special marshals. They didn't have to go and pay somebody. They just say, look, I have a they say I'm an active citizen and I want to contribute to my society and I want to get some basic training and be able to control traffic or be able to educate people about road usage. With that, that's exactly the things that we're looking at with community policing. Engaging people, graduate for this time around, who can help with custody management, who can do ITs with custody. So we don't have to spend money on,
Okay, let's hear from today. We really have to go understand we're out of time.
We have to go now.
Well, touching on what he's saying, community policing is exactly what it is. Officers engaging with the communities in which they find themselves in. So as in the Met Police, for instance, your first 2 years means you must walk the beat. There's something called walk the beat. That means you must get to understand the community that you're in. It means you have to go out on the street, either sometimes walk or be part of a team. Generally, two, you're always engaging with the people in the community. What that then means is that these individuals will pass on information to you. Yeah. Now, that information, on a daily basis, we have an intelligence database which you upload.
But they've got to trust you to handle
That's what I'm saying. Because you are part of that community. Yeah. They see you on a daily basis. They know you by name. Yeah. They know your name. You know them. So when things are happening within the community, the community are the ones that call you and say, this is what this individual is up to.
Yeah.
That information, you upload it onto the intelligence database. It forms part of the Borough intelligence database on individuals who are either habitual criminals or those that are developing criminals. So you know...
So they're on the watch list.
They're on the watch list, and then when people are going out, officers are going out to work, you have specific information of areas to look into on how you will police the areas that there are hotspots and whatnot.
To
prevent crime.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sanusi Ture, security consultant. Thank you very much for coming. And we also had Mr. Segun Awosoya, legal practitioner and a civil rights advocate. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us.
Thank you.
Very interesting conversation indeed. Sunrise will be right back with another interesting conversation in just a moment. Do join us.
Thank you for staying with us. Quite an interesting conversation earlier there. And Nigerians are still tweeting in. Stephen Abolo says, until the entire police is reformed, the police will continue to rot. SARS will go and another will come. The regular police does so much evil on our roads and highways. Reform the police entirely.
Well, John Wright says that I think the problem is first to change the name from Nigeria Police Force to Nigeria Police Service. It will help Nigerians a lot.
I think that name's been changed.
Well, it's not force anymore. It's just Nigeria Police.
Nigeria Police. So
he's saying you should put service
there,
so that they will be aware that they're actually serving Nigerians.
Like the Nigeria Correctional Service. It's no longer Nigeria Prisons. Okay, all right. Well, today, let's look at other things now. Today happens to be the World Hospice and Palliative Care Day, a day to celebrate and support hospice, palliative care around the world. The theme for this event is My Care, My Comfort. But the question is, how much awareness is raised on hospice and palliative care? Now, some people might be asking, what exactly do you mean by hospice? What's palliative care? English. Don't worry, you'll get to know. So we have as our guest Professor Olaitan Soyanwo, who is a retired professor of anesthesia and has been leading pain relief and development of palliative care in the country internationally since the 90s. He is based at the UCH Ibadan, a visiting consultant, and runs an NGO, the Center for Palliative Care Nigeria. Thank you for speaking with us, Prof.
Good morning.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So let's start out real quick with this. As I said earlier, some people will be asking, what exactly is hospice and palliative care? Let me start from there.
Thank you very much. Palliative care is a specialized type of care that is designed for people who have serious life-limiting illnesses. The movement to establish it started in the 60s with cancer, but now it is applicable to all forms of serious illnesses. The purpose of palliative care is to improve the quality of life of people across all ages that are facing the challenges of pain and suffering from serious and chronic illnesses. Not just cancer, but illnesses like neurological problems, stroke, complications from diabetes, hypertension, even those with congenital problems like sickle cell disease. Because these kind of illnesses are protracted and they go on for a long time. And palliative care starts from the diagnosis of such illnesses and improves the quality of life for both the patient and their families and caregivers, and stays with them till end of life and beyond, including bereavement support. That, in a nutshell, is what palliative care is. Then
Now,
at the
Prof,
tail end, yes.
yeah,
So
this sounds like it's a very important part of medicine. How is it that many people don't seem to be aware of it?
that is the problem, and that is why the world body, Global Alliance for Palliative Care, which consists of about 350 organizations in over 100 countries, has set a day aside every year on 10th of October so that awareness can be raised, so that all those who have had such problems and those who have been impacted by their experience can all come together and talk to policy, talk to the public, talk to everybody worldwide so that policies can be developed to include palliative care within the health services and health development plans in every country. Unfortunately, this aspect of medicine has also not been included in the curriculum for training of medical and allied health professionals. And in Nigeria in particular, it's only recently that palliative care is being focused on, and we now have a Society for Hospice and Palliative Care and few tertiary institutions that are now trying to train people so that palliative care can be included in our national health care delivery on practical basis.
Okay, Prof. Introducing this into the curriculum for training of our medical personnel, do you think it will make any difference as regards the understanding and actually taking part in this, in offering palliative care to those in need?
Yes, that on a long-term basis will make it possible. But currently, all those health and allied healthcare workers who are already on ground are being encouraged to do continuing medical education in this aspect of medicine, and that is now ongoing in the country.
Okay.
Palliative care is also for not just for healthcare workers, because you also need volunteers and you need other people to also help, all those including carers, caregivers. They also have to be trained, and the public, because we are all related to people who are suffering from these illnesses, and education is very important all around.
So, Professor, how does the hospice and palliative people like yourself, how do you go about recruiting caregivers and volunteers?
Thank you very much. Palliative care involves teamwork. So we have multidisciplinary health professionals like doctors, nurses, pharmacists, physiotherapists, and then in places where it is offered, you can recruit volunteers, and because the volunteers can help the patients, and the caregivers also have to be trained to know exactly how to take care of the patients that they are related to. For example, the patient may have to go for frequent hospital visits, and they need somebody to take them up and down. They also may have challenges of pain and so many other distressing problems. And they need both healthcare professionals and also the carers who will be with them to provide compassionate care. Because palliative care can be offered not only in hospitals, it can also be offered in the community, within the home of the patient. And then at the end of life, we have standalone hospices. In developed countries, these cater for patients that have 6 months to 1 year to live. But palliative care should actually be embedded in the care of every patient that has serious illness that's in hospital, especially the communication aspect of it. A lot of patients, they don't know the details, the medical details about what is wrong with them, and that gives them a lot of problem because they now go around different places spending money on curative intent, whereas what is wrong with them cannot really be cured, but they can be managed in such a way that they can live quality life right till the end of their lives.
This matter, palliative care for generally for the society, and would days like this, remembering or commemorating days like this, World Hospice and Palliative Care Day, how, as important as it is, apparently a lot of people still are not used to it. So what should we begin to do going forward to ensure that beyond this year, Nigerians and indeed the society begins to take care of those around us, because that will be the other side of this entire conversation.
Yes, thank you very much. The World Health Association, the World Health Organization, actually has set out criteria for developing palliative care as part of community health or public health. And there are 3 pillars. The first pillar is policy. Once there's policy that this has to be part of the healthcare delivery system in any country, then it happens. And Nigeria is signatory to a lot of the, and is aware, a lot of the guidelines on palliative care. The second one is education of everybody that will be involved in making this happen, including the public, and that's why I'm talking today, health professionals, non-health professionals. And then the third one is availability of essential medications that be required. In most countries, these medications are available, except for the strong medications that we need to treat severe pain, which are strictly controlled because they are under the Dangerous Drugs Act. But they can be made available for medical use when it is required, so that people who are dying from serious illnesses don't have to die in pain. They can be in comfort and they can enjoy the remaining part of their lives once they don't have pain. And that is what palliative care preaches. It also preaches total care, the emotional aspect of illness, the social aspect of illness, and the spiritual aspect. And when I say spiritual, I don't mean religious. And that is why we have chaplains who can join the palliative care team to also cater for some of these needs.
Now, Professor, normally when you talk about hospice, you think about a place. Maybe you can interchange that word in our own environment with old people's home. What is the connection?
Thank you very much. That's a very pertinent question. And I always say that palliative care is not about the dying, but it is about those who are living. with serious illnesses and they die from these illnesses because a lot of the illnesses are incurable. Now, old people's homes are meant for old people, but palliative care is needed by children. Children, for example, also have cancer. Children have neurological illnesses. And old people also have this. So it cuts across the whole trajectory of life. Then hospice care caters for that end of life when people are actually having a lot of problems with a lot of symptoms. Some of them, they're incontinent, or they can't control their urine, they cannot remember things, they cannot walk properly, so they have a lot of issues, and it is difficult for their families to look after them. And in our environment, these days it is happening. We never used to see such things because of the extended family that we had, and we are our neighbors' keepers. But now, with global migration, a lot of people now have their children and their relatives living so far away from them that they can not look after them when they have these issues. And that is why we must now include this kind of care in our medical and health care system so that it is available not just at the tertiary level of care, but at the secondary and at the primary care level. And this will involve teaching everybody that works along those ones, and also to make budget available. And palliative care should also be among our considerations when we talk about sustainable goals, and also whatever we are designing so that it's global for those in rural and also for those in urban areas.
Now, Prof, World Hospice and Palliative Care Day, what exactly is planned to mark that day?
We have planned a lot of advocacy outings. In Ibadan, for example, we have been addressing the public over radio, and we are using the media. And part of and since 3 days ago, and in these days of Zoom, we also have had some special lectures on Zoom so that the outreach will be more and a lot of people. And this is happening all over the country because we now have members of the Hospice and Palliative Care Association all over the geopolitical zones of Nigeria. And internationally, for the first time, what is happening is mostly virtual because of the COVID pandemic. And COVID also has its ramifications. And just like HIV/AIDS that requires a lot of palliative care input, this COVID also requires palliative care. And post-COVID, especially for those who have had serious challenges from the illness, they will also require palliative care.
Thank you very much. Professor Olaitan Soyanwo is a consultant, retired professor of anesthesia, and she joined us from UCH in Ibadan. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right.
Thank you.
Sunrise will be back in a moment. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We told you we'll be hitting Ondo a couple of times in the course of the program, and we'll be going there now. Sean Kimbalo is on standby. Sean, what is happening? Update? Sean, what's going on? Sean Kimberley, we are hoping to hear from you as regards what's happening. We spoke with Dari earlier. He told us what's happening as regards voting started and everyone's eager to get it over and done with. What's happening in your neck of the woods?
Thank you so much, and welcome to Akura. This is the St. Stephen Primary School in Ijomu. This is one place where we saw some kind of scampering, which led to an injury we saw earlier today, where one of the residents here will understand that with the information we have, it's some kind of gangs who got into a fight, and the information is still sketchy. We're hoping that the police will be able to give us more information. We saw some of the visuals we have shows the man who was badly injured, and it was said to have been taken to the hospital. Let's get on the ground to give you an update. Now, let me give you a sense of what you can see. We started early, talk about COVID-19 protocols. You can judge for yourself what we can see. Sparingly, some are wearing their face masks. For some, they're not just bothered about the face mask. You can see them. And what about social distancing? Well, your eyes are not deceiving you. You can see rightly. It is what you can see right now, as much of the space that they can give themselves. Not the best of situation as far as we can see. But let's check out with some of the voters who are waiting in line, expecting to get on the queue. There's supposed to be two queues, inner queue and the outer queue. This is the inner queue for this group, and take a look at the outer queue. That is the outer queue, and the queue goes as long as you can see. Let me give you a sense of where this process begins from the first moment when you get into this area. So voters will first and foremost, before they get on this queue, they will first and foremost go over there to check their names on the voter register. When they check the name on the voter register, then they will join the queue. This man is perhaps the last man. He just checked his name on the voter register and is waiting on the queue. So when that is done, well, you probably will just obey some social distancing rule and COVID-19 protocols. These are provided here. The water to wash your hands, the soap there, and of course, then you move to get yourself for accreditation. And I want to give you a sense for those millions of people who are watching from their homes, but they do not know how this is going down. We will need to give you a sense of how this is happening. So let's show you. So the thermometer is being for the temperature check, and there you go. It goes there, and so this is the card reader machine with alongside is PVC, and that is going to be used. Okay, so it's verified now. It can then now use the print on his thumb to verify whether or not he's capable of voting. Then is then verified to vote. So there he goes, and he's on the queue. So you can see the queue there. So people have to wait. So just for a moment, let's also show you what this, after that process, this is what then happens. They then come here. Queue up here. Just a moment, gentlemen.
We will get back to Sean in the course of the conversation. From what you saw there, he was trying to bring us up to speed what was happening, the process from the point of getting to the polling unit, to the polling center, to the polling unit, check your name, get your hand sanitized. Again, Alera, that thing of social distancing is still not there. But as we said earlier, so if most people wearing their face masks, either actually wearing it under their chin.
Well, at least wearing face masks in Akure, is better than what we saw in Benin. I keep referring to Benin, even though the outcome was wonderful. The process itself, as far as COVID-19 is concerned, left a lot to be desired.
So we will indeed get back to you and see what the situation is like in the course of our programming today.
In the meantime, we shall be looking at the International Day of the Girl Child. And like I commented at the beginning of the program, the girl child is so important that she actually has a day dedicated to celebrating her. The International Day of the Girl Child is celebrated annually on the 11th day of October. And the aims of the day are to promote the girl child's empowerment and the fulfillment of her human rights, while also highlighting the challenges that she faces. The theme for this year's anniversary is My Voice, Our Equal Future. Now, what does that mean? Well, we have people who are going to help us talk about this particular celebration and the meaning of this theme, which sounds a bit cryptic to me. My Voice, Our Equal Future. We have Mrs. Kemi Ojenike of Destiny Trust. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
We also have Kemi Olowojolu, Teen Guide Initiative.
Good morning.
Good morning. And from Abuja, we have Mariam Ahmed, girls' rights activist and youth ambassador of Save the Children International Nigeria. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Yes, let me begin with Kemi, Teen Guide Initiative. My Voice, Our Equal Future. What exactly does that mean?
So that's the theme that the UN has chosen for this year, as they have different themes every year. And this year, they want adolescent girls to speak up, to speak about the issues facing them, but to also speak about what makes them happy, what can be done about the plights of girls all over the world. So that's what My Voice, Our Equal Future. So it's about the girl child, the adolescent girl, using our voice to do something about the issues that are particular to every woman all over the world, using that voice to shape the future. And you see, it says our equal future. So you know that everywhere, all over the world, one of the issues that we face is that men and women, not to talk of boys and girls, are not seen as equal. Yes, we are different. But then, in our differences, do we see that the woman or the girl has equal potential to what the boy or the man has? And do we also make sure that this woman or this girl has access to the resources that the boy or the man has?
Mrs. Ojenike, we've been talking about the problems of the girl child for several years. And this is not the first celebration of the International Year of the Girl Child. Has there been any improvement in the plight of the girl child?
That's an interesting question. The truth of the matter is, yes, there's been a lot more advocacy, and I think mediums like social media has really helped in
advocacy.
Yes, okay. And in sort of escalating, amplifying the voice. But in actual terms, the question is, has there been real change? In the work that we do at the Destiny Trust, our focus is on vulnerable children, rehabilitating, empowering, rescuing vulnerable children, disadvantaged children, not just girls. Okay. However, we've been at this since 2012, and in our interactions, we have realized that girls are the most at risk because we go to slum communities, we get referrals, and more often than not, the girls are the ones that are most in danger. And why is that? There's, first of all, that cultural mindset where girls are expected,
put in a certain mold. They're expected to be in the kitchen. We have situations where between boys and girls, when there is a limited opportunity for education, the girl is usually passed up. The boy is considered the one who deserves the education. You know, we have cases where...
We can marry the girl.
Exactly. I mean, we have cases where we've gone into slum communities and we're literally begging the mothers to allow the children come to school. We would handle the process. And the mothers say no because the girl child is set to be married. Before her father died, she had already been betrothed to someone. So that's the plan. And that's what they're working with. The father is late, but the mother is sort of bound by that arrangement. So there are many things that are working against the girl child, many things. There are many factors. You know, even in the families, you have cases where, again, the fathers are not usually present, but the mothers are stuck in tradition, they're stuck in a certain mold. So whether or not we have made progress, I would say we have a lot more to do. We have still a long way to go. But the conversations are encouraging. As long as we continue them and we continue to amplify them, hopefully we will see some substantial change at some point soon.
I must refer to the choice of words you're using. You began by saying advocacy. And then just now you said, what was the word you used again? The conversation.
Yes.
What about in concrete terms? Has there been no improvement at all?
Just hold your thoughts a bit. Just dash back to Sheon, who's on standby to let us know what's out. Sheon?
Standby. Standby.
Thank
you so much, and let's get back to talking to Mr. Larry Bankole, Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of investigation. He's going to give us an update on what has happened here today about the man who is said to have been injured. Thank you so much, Mr. Bankole. What can you tell us about the young man that was said to have been attacked or injured? Is he alive? Is it safe?
Yes, he's alive. He's in stable condition. I visited him at the police hospital where he's been treated.
What really happened? Can you tell us what exactly transpired?
Well, this morning, the victim, who is a registered voter at the polling unit where he was attacked, said that he was attacked by men that he could identify, and he has given us the details of those people who attacked him.
Was it a fight? Is it a gang fight? Is it a street fight? Is it what exactly led to that incident?
Well, investigation is ongoing. As soon as we conclude our investigation, we'll be able to determine what actually transpired. But what we have for now is that the man was attacked by people he could identify, and we are actually on their trial now to bring them to book.
So we heard gunshots, about a few shots that we heard just a few meters away from here. Were those from the police guns or from those attackers or from the man who is injured?
Well, certainly it couldn't have been the police. But the victim said he actually had machete cuts, which is what he's been treated for. So our investigation will reveal what really happened. Whether those gunshots were actually from the would-be assailants or not.
So you've not been able to arrest anyone about that incident?
Oh, we have two gentlemen, we have two men in our custody for now, and they're helping us with our investigation.
Okay. Let me get your view on what is happening in terms of adherence to protocols of COVID-19. You and I are putting on our face mask now, but if you see, the social distancing is not being observed right now. They started out by observing it, but at some point that fell out of the way. Your men are supposed to implement this. What has gone wrong?
Well, I think it has to be a persuasive issue now. Probably because of general tendency for people to believe that there's still no COVID. But as much as possible, we try to enforce that. But we don't want to do it at the detriment to the electoral process by saying, oh, police are the people who drove us away from carrying out our responsibilities. However, we will continue to appeal to them, because when I came, I could see that policemen were telling them, put on your mask, put on them, and that has made some of them to comply with that directive.
All right. Before we allow you go, Mr. Bankole, we heard that there was some violent situation also in some areas. What can you tell us? Are you on top of the situation, and where are these incidents?
Yes, reports from all over the state is that generally the election has been peaceful. The pockets of incidents we had, the police have been able to curtail it, and we're actually on top of the situation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bankole, and I wish you the very best in this. I know it's not an easy task, but you guys have promised that you will deal with it. Thank you so much, Mr. Bankole. DCP investigation for the Nigerian police in Ondo State. Just before I hand over back to Alero and Nelta, let's speak with one of the election observer. Let's get an observer perspective to what is happening. Mr. Tanko joins us now to give us a perspective to what is happening. Mr. Tanko, thank you so much for joining us right here on Sunrise on Channel Television. What can you tell us so far from what you have seen?
Yes, what I observe is that there's an enthusiasm by the populace who want to vote. Those citizens are interested in voting. But there is a serious issue with regard to observation on the COVID-19 and social distancing. Probably what ought to have been done was that right from the gate, we should have been able to educate these people how they are going to go about it. And I also observed that there are people who are interested in causing problems. Thank you for the presence of the Nigerian police, who are there to really protect and ensure that things like this didn't go out of hand. So they must be alert. And there are serious insinuations that we have some of them who coming from other areas trying to become thugs. So we need to guide against that. But so far, so good. The election started on time, and the distribution materials were being distributed, and everybody is on the street trying to ensure that they voted for the candidate of their choice.
It's about 10 minutes to 11 o'clock now. If you compare this hour with what we saw in Edo, what are your thoughts?
Well, in Edo, it has gone far in terms of election, and there were people who were not so much standing on the queue at this particular hour. So we need to find a way of dislodging the people as quickly as possible. But probably the process of the COVID-19 testing the temperature and then putting the hand sanitizer on their hands may have slowed the process down. But then there's so much people on the voting area, and it's a little bit slow compared to that of Edo. It may take longer from my observation.
Mr. Tanko, one of the observers here, thank you so much for talking to us. Nata Alero, that is the situation right here. We are on the ground, the Nation Election Headquarters, the home for the news, Channel Television, of course. We're giving you updates and the scenario as it's playing out. It's back to you guys.
Thank you very much.
That incident, I am glad they say the young man's alive and he can identify those who attacked him. Yes. I do hope that the police, even though the CP there said they will go through, the police officer said they will go ahead to find those people and have them brought to book. We're talking about consequence management.
Yes.
I hope that this will happen and those people will be brought to book, whoever they be. The most important thing is, as we say, when you do wrong, you're punished. When you do right, you're rewarded. We'll take a moment and we'll be back to continue the conversation about the girl child. Do stay with us. And we're back. It's about the girl child.
Yes, you were. We were talking about the conversation and the awareness, but in concrete terms, have we not moved forward a bit?
I would say, like we were talking about, in terms of clustered impact, the awareness has caused some change. You have more of a focus on these matters. You have more programs being organized. You have more benefits being provided for the girl child. But in terms of a widespread acceptance and understanding of the fact that the girl child is not inferior, the girl child not only deserves, but in the benefit of society should get the same opportunity as the boy child. I think in terms of that widespread acceptance, we still have a long way to go. It's the reason why we're still having a lot of these conversations, why we're still talking child marriages, we're still talking access to education, we're still talking some of these cultural biases that end up putting the girl child at a disadvantage.
Mariam, is it not surprising that in the 21st century, we're still talking about people who don't allow their girl child to go to school?
Oh yeah, it's very surprising because it's the 21st century. But let's not forget the fact that Nigeria and other African countries are very traditional, have very traditional people. Nigeria has very traditional people and religious people. So, you know, all those things that have been happening before, all those cultural norms of, you know, the girls getting married at a very young age, women not having a say at the table, women not just agreeing to whatever is being decided for them by the men. So that has continued. That's like a chain of, you know, all these bad practices going on even before we were born, continuing. And because we are, like I said, a very cultural and religious country, we hold on so much to our norms, and that unfortunately, women not having a voice, girls not having voices, has become the norm, which is unfortunate. So what we need to do is to sensitize people in rural communities, and traditional and religious leaders are also very key in sensitizing people in you know, grassroots communities, because like I said, we hold our tradition, our culture and our religion really dearly. So we need to have the traditional leaders on our side, so that, because they are the traditional leaders, they are the leaders in those communities, and believe it or not, whatever they say, people follow. So we need to have them on our side. We need to have them also talking to their communities and, you know, sensitizing them on the importance of girls and women also having, you know, voices in their society, and also deciding for themselves what they want in their lives.
You know, Miriam, there's this thing that's out there, and some people wonder if it's not being overemphasized. The rights of the girl child, if that is not even helping to, how do you put it now? Helping to put the girl child under pressure.
Well, actually, there are laws that protect the rights of children. There's the Child's Rights Act. It's been, you know, domesticated in some countries, but not, in some states, but not all states in Nigeria. So it can't be a law unless there's a specific number of states that have to pass it into a law before it becomes a national law. The Child's Rights Act has, you know, all the laws that protect children, every single thing, all the aspects of a child's life is being protected by the Child's Rights Act. So what needs to be done right now is for those states who have not domesticated the Child's Rights Act, that's mostly in the northern part of Nigeria, they need to domesticate the Child's Rights Act and also make sure that it's properly, not only implemented, but properly implemented.
And say something about. Okay.
I think in addition to what she said, and in response to your question about the fact that the emphasis on the rights of the girl child is perhaps
putting more pressure on the girl child.
There's a reason. There's a need for the emphasis. There's a reason why the rights of the boy child, like she said, we have child's rights, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a reason why the rights of the boy child are not being emphasized so much. It's because there's a problem that needs to be addressed. There's a challenge. The fact that either these rights, in some cases, are not even applicable because they haven't been domesticated, or where they are applicable, they are not being adhered to. There is that suppression, which is to our general detriment, to be honest, because it's not really a sentimental or an emotional decision. It's not that, oh, she's a girl, let me respect her. It's for our collective benefit. The truth of the matter is the girls are human. The girls have a lot to bring to the table. But when we cut short their opportunity, when we put them at risk, when their future, their education is cut short because of things like early marriages, early pregnancies, and we accept it as the norm, we're doing ourselves a great disservice. Let's think of all the countries that are being ruled by women right now and how well they are doing in the face of the current pandemic. Imagine if those girls or those women as girls were cut down. They got pregnant at 13, they were married off. They couldn't go to school because there was a brother that the society
or
thought,
even after being married, when they finished giving birth,
there was
they
no
allowed
chance.
to even pick up?
Exactly. They had no skills. They were not able to empower themselves. There was no opportunity. Just imagine that alternate reality. It's not for the benefit of the girl only. It's not a selfish. We need to start thinking about it from a holistic perspective, that we are cutting ourselves short by not amplifying and actually implementing the rights of the girl child.
Kemi, what happened to Beijing? Beijing is what? How many years ago now?
30, I think.
Can you imagine?
I think, but I don't think it's out of the context that we're talking about. Things like a day like October 11 has come out of those conferences.
Okay.
And so I'm in full support of what they've been talking about, advocacy. And I was talking with Kemi earlier on. I said, I looked forward to this because I heard someone speak about the rights of the girl child. Now, I was in that camp that would be like, oh, rights of the girl, what of the boy, and there's so many people talking about that. But I was in a meeting and a clergy, the pastor of a church started to talk about the girl child and opened our eyes to see how she's been disadvantaged, how culture has shaped her to behave the way that she behaves today. And just like you were talking about pressure, sometimes, for instance, like this year's theme that says, my voice, equal future. What about that girl who doesn't really feel like talking? Does she feel pressured? And that's why I want to tell girls that you don't have to rise up to anybody's expectation. You don't have to be shaped by what people think of you. Inside every girl is a special potential that, as Kemi was talking about, the whole is it's for a collective benefit, for the benefit of all. And if that is not allowed to show, or if that is not nurtured, we all stand the risk of being disadvantaged in the long run. So, like I was talking about, I was in that meeting and my eyes opened like, oh, the girl has been disadvantaged. We should all speak up. And if there's anything that I want to do today is to ask leaders and everyone who has who has some kind of influence to speak up. Like Miriam said, the leaders, the chiefs, they have to, not just the adolescent girls speaking up for ourselves. We all need to. So what did I do after hearing that talk by the clergy in church? I went back to look at my youth group and I noticed what I had not seen before. Most of the boys, most of the attendance is by boys. And then I started to think, I started asking, where are the girls? They didn't want to come, no. And then I asked about a particular girl. And by the time I asked her more questions, I found out that her father did not want her to come because they didn't trust what she was saying. Meanwhile, the boys are being allowed to go out easily. And when they're allowed to go out like this, they develop skills. The boys in our youth group were developing more skills. And this girl was lagging behind. What did I have to do? I had to book an appointment with her parents. And they gave me audience. They even called an auntie, and it was like a meeting. And they're like, look at that picture she took. A boy had his arms around her. And I said, ma, sir, you're going to see more photos and get ready. And these photos don't mean anything. And this place is to empower. And if you keep shutting her, if you keep making her stay at home without having the same opportunities, and this is what we're talking about. The guys were increasing in their skills and she didn't have them. So just to cut the long story short, we stayed there for about 2 hours. They were asking questions, I was answering, and they could say, and at the end of the day, she was allowed to come back. Not just come back. Right now, she's being mentored by an adult, a woman, and she's learning a particular skill. So we need to speak for all of us. Each one of us needs to stand up for the rights of the girl child.
My problem right now is whatever happened to that saying, educate the girl child and you educate a nation.
I think that saying didn't make it past our cultural biases.
It's not a Nigerian saying.
It just didn't make it. If it was contemplated, perhaps in really small circles, or it just wasn't considered important enough. And another thing that I would say, at least drawing from what Kemi has said, is the fact that when there are days like this, and there are issues like this, and they're mostly championed by only women, there's the tendency to see it as, yes, another one of the many things, a woman thing. We need to change that. We need to show that there is a collective buying into this concept, that it's not a gender-based ideology. It's a necessary thing for our communities to thrive. We need men. Yes.
You. Many of the men out there, and I can speak for the one sitting right here beside me, have daughters, and they do not want to see their daughters go through all this you're talking about.
And that's fantastic.
Am I wrong, Mr. Egbe?
No, definitely not.
Definitely.
Not my daughter, not my sister, not my friends,
Exactly.
not any woman around.
Anyone.
Because I do believe that besides, this is how I say it. I say, when the man is as strong as he stands, the truth is that his strength is from the woman. Now, some men will shoot me for saying this, but hey,
but you are speaking the truth.
The truth is that no man is strong on his own. Well, we might have all the muscles, but there's someone pressing the button somewhere. It might be the mother, it might be the sister, it might be the wife, it might be the girlfriend, but there's someone pressing the button.
And invariably, it's a woman.
And it's a woman most times. So, but Mariam, so how is it that women or the girl child has so much power, but that power is not evident in her empowerment or her voice being heard?
I think that still has to do with, the community she grew up in and how, the norm has always been us being at the background. But what people fail to realize is that by educating the girl child, you expose her to more opportunities. You expose her to more opportunities. She gets, it doesn't become hard for her to get a job, because if a girl is not educated, it's either they marry her off to someone way older than her at a very young age, and her, she's a child. Her body is not yet ready to, go through that whole the pregnancy and the childbirth, and that's why there's a lot of maternal and child mortality. Again, she's not educated. If you remember, they took the boy to school instead of the girl, so she's not really educated and doesn't really know what to do in those situations. Now, let's say, for example, the parents now marry her off at a very young age and she's not educated and she gets pregnant, and maybe she's in labor, but she doesn't even know that, and she doesn't know what to do in those situations. And then she goes to the hospital and can't communicate clearly with the nurse or the doctor because she's not educated. I say this all the time, that education is the key to eradicating many of the issues that girls are facing today. Now, if a girl is educated, she would, let's say by the time she finishes secondary school, she's like 17, 18, which is the adult age. So that now educating a girl now, delays the time that even if her parents want to marry her off, it delays that till when she's done with school. It also gives her equal opportunities as the boys. She gets to have a job. She becomes skilled, and even if she even if she doesn't have a job, she's equipped with skills that she can use to make money. So many issues that girls are facing today, I believe, can be are educated. Just by educating a girl child, you're unlocking her potential. And yeah, it's very important for girls to be educated because we have that power. We need to be empowered to decide for ourselves.
Mariam,
we need to be educated so that we can make, yes.
Okay, Mariam, we'll go on a quick break. When we'll come back, we'll look at when we say education here, because some will say, okay, I'm done with school, but yet the kind of education that is required or they need is not really there. So are there other forms of education we can use? I'm looking at the low-hanging fruits that we can use, especially so that we begin to hear the women. I know women are breaking barriers around the world, so let's see how we can push through in all of this. But that'll be in a moment. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Well, we're on break and we're having a very interesting conversation about how this whole process can start. I know when Mariam was talking, we talked about when she was ending, I was saying something about education. Does it really have to be through school? There are other ways that we can actually educate the girl child to the point that she grows to build the nation. But Larry, you're going to say something.
Yeah, that's the question I was going to bring to Kemi.
Okay.
That does education have to be school? Can she not learn a skill even at a young age?
You are absolutely right. She can, and just like we were having such a good time in the video, in the studio just before we came back, we're talking about these things, and every parent should encourage the girl, the boys, but right now we're talking about the girls, to learn a skill. And just like the story I was telling you about, now that girl is learning a skill because she was advocated for, and we go back to advocacy. So yes, so schooling is formal education, but there's something called non-formal education, and there's something called informal education. Informal education is your home with your parents, and you're learning from them. You're making sure. The non-formal education is organized, and so that's what you're talking about, learning a skill. Girls can learn anything, and this is where we say again, don't let anybody make you into a stereotype like girls have to learn this type of skill. I wish I could show you pictures from our youth group and you see the girls behind the cameras, see girls learning different, nobody.
The best chefs are men. Exactly. I've never seen a female chef. Even though at a young age you are told that as a girl your place is in the kitchen. When it comes to real cooking, it's the men who do the real cooking. Surprisingly.
I have a friend, like, when you get to their house, most times it's the guy who gets in the kitchen, and that says something to their children, that the kitchen, it's not just for the female. And chores, I read somewhere that 160, girls do 160 million hours more chores, or spend more time. So they had the statistics, 160 million more hours doing chores than boys. And it gets back to what you were talking about. So the girls are always doing chores at home. The boys gone out to learn mechanic, how to be a mechanic, how to do
this. But the boys also have to at least clean their rooms, make their beds.
Absolutely. They need mothers like his mom.
No. The thing is, okay, so I cook. When I'm in the kitchen. When I'm in the kitchen, my son wants to be there. He's seeing. So it's examples. What examples are they seeing? My daughters want to see what's daddy cooking. How can I help and all of that. But in doing all of that, there's still that part of how do you get them to be involved?
What do you mean?
Again, so when I said that this focus that seemed to be on the girl child, is it not putting so much pressure on the girl child to stretch, to break through the barriers, and to achieve, and all of that, to aspire?
I have something to say about that. But
maybe I should just contribute. So the pressure on the girl child would be significantly more when she's not in an enabling environment.
For instance, and Mariam said that.
Imagine a girl child from your household, for instance. if she hears about, oh, breaking glass ceilings, reaching, aspiring for the greatest things, she probably won't feel pressure because it's not something she's unfamiliar with. Because, and the point I'm trying to make is, if, like you said, the girl child has seen an example, even the boy child has seen an example, that first of all, there is no one that is better than the other. Everyone needs to aspire for the best that they can be. She would not feel pressure. Imagine the one that comes from a home where girls are not regarded, where the only example she's seen is one of her mother being battered, where she's being told she needs to be in the kitchen. Of course, these ideas seem like they are so far-fetched. And that's what we need to do. We need to bring these ideas home. And it starts with a mindset at the end of the day. It's a mindset issue. You know, if a father, the closest person, perhaps a father and a mother sometimes, because even mothers sometimes, we need to correct some of those mindsets that they have grown up with. If the closest people that influence you, that support you, do not see the point in you being empowered, certainly it will be a struggle. It will be a serious struggle.
Now, I need for you all to hear this. This is from Generous. And these issues of a girl child, as far as I'm concerned, only lingers among poor families. No rich family will prefer a male child to a girl child in terms of education. So no well-to-do middle-class family, for instance, would rather send their male child to school and leave their daughter at home. That's what he's saying. Mariam, can I have your comment on that, please?
Well, I think middle-class families already are knowledgeable about the importance of education because they themselves were most likely educated. So they would understand and they know the importance for both the boy child and the girl child to be educated. But for the low-income earning families, they have, you know, healthcare to worry about, they have food to worry about, they have shelter to worry about, clothing to worry about. So they have so much pressure. They have so many things to take care of, which they can't take care of everything. So they feel, because again of their culture and what they grew up, the mindset they grew up with, they believe, you know, the boy child is more of it's a better investment than the girl child, because if we educate the girl, that's what they feel. If they educate the girl, she would eventually get married, and the parents and the family wouldn't be the ones to, you know, enjoy the benefits of her education. It would be her and her husband and her kids. So they feel that if they educate the boy, when he grows up and he has his own family, he would also, you know, give them benefits and his own family benefits.
But yes, a 16-year-old 2 days ago, I said, "Oh, I'm going to be here, and tell me. I want to hear what you have to say." And she wrote this, but then also, I said, "Speak to me." She said, "Our father once told her that it's better to spend money on her younger brother because she will forget him, and that she will soon get married, and so." You know, she doesn't really need to be educated beyond GSS 3. So Miriam is spot on that.
Another fallacy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was told that
it's the girls that actually
always
take care of their parents.
Exactly.
Actually, yeah. I told her that's something I've not heard before, about a man saying that she would not. But I think it was based on he also said that you will soon get married, and so there is no need. And Miriam, she's spot on that, because really when they're thinking of allocating resources, they're feeling like, hey, the boy, this
one
girl
is a waste of money.
You know, we should actually do something about International Day of the Man-Child, so that we can tell men that so that we can tell men that they are the ones setting the examples that their daughters will be looking to for husbands and boyfriends and all
we
of
do
that.
on the International Day of the Girl Child. We need that.
Now, we're running out of time now. Yes. So what plans are in place for this International Day of the Girl Child?
Okay.
Well, this Kemi.
Okay. Okay, so from my end, in our organization, the Destiny Trust, we have a center actually where we house about 32 children, and it's also a learning center. So for the day, we do plan to have conversations, like meaningful conversations with them on just this mindset, and the mindset the girls need to have for success, the mindset the boys need to have. But beyond the day, we actually realize that, again, like I said, because it's a mindset issue, it takes time to shift a mindset. So that conversation needs to be consistent. It cannot be limited to a day. So it's a conversation we try to have consistently. First of all, do not think because you are stronger, for instance, than a girl, you can bully her. Bullying is actually a sign of weakness. Do not think, oh, because there's a girl around, I shouldn't participate in taking care of the house. That's actually really wrong. And then we try to show them, reinforce positive examples of men that are successful, accomplished, but really respect their wives, respect the women, and actually show it in their day-to-day. So our focus for the day is to amplify a conversation we're already having. The fact that, first of all, to the boys, they are not subordinate to you. You're not better because you're a certain gender. You all have the same opportunities. You need to pursue your opportunities, and you need to realize that they can actually do much better than you if you continue to slack. And then for the girls, it's sort of dealing with that negative mindset of some of the things they've heard before, some of the things they've seen, and to just emphasize the fact that the sky really is your starting point. Not from a sentimental, it's a factual matter. There is literally nothing that you cannot do if you set your mind to it.
Whether you're a boy or a girl.
Okay, so may I? Okay, so for me, I have two girls at home, and I intend to talk to them. You know, I intend for us to have a family conversation. And I'm saying this because I want everyone listening to us, I want them to start the conversation, stop the discrimination, start the conversations that empower girls, that empower women. And on our social media handle at Teen Guide Africa, we would also, like I was talking to you about this, so we'll have the girls use their voice to speak about the plight of girls. She's written a lot here. We can start, like what Kemi talked about, bullying and all that, and what she prays that every girl child will have the opportunity. She prays that every girl child will have the opportunity to release her dream, discover her potential, look within and see that she has true value, true worth, not just what the society wants of her, but what she wants of herself, what she desires.
Mariam?
Well, as a Save the Children Youth Ambassador, I'm always, spot on talking to policymakers and decision makers, both in Nigeria and outside of the country, to encourage them to, also lend their voices and empowering the girl child. But in terms of what we're doing for the International Day of the Girl, Save the Children has been working in partnership with a school in Gwagwalada Secondary School, and we have a club. It's called the Child Rights Advocacy Club. So as a youth ambassador, I wrote a song. It's called Shooting Star, and it's going to be launched. I think it has been launched either today or tomorrow, the International Day of the Girl, which, the song is very personal because I wrote it with the mindset of empowering girls, empowering children, that they can be what they want to be. So we also have many activities lined up for the rest of the week, throughout the week, like social media takeovers and, just having talks with the children in the Child Rights Advocacy clubs and also other activists as well. So that's very exciting.
Very much, Mariam.
I was going to ask her to sing the song. But don't worry.
We've run out of time completely. Mariam Ahmed, girls' rights activist and youth ambassador, Save the Children International Nigeria, Abuja branch. And she joined us from our studio in Abuja. And in Lagos, we had two Kemis, Kemi Ojenike of Destiny Trust and Kemi Olowojolu Teen Guide Initiative. Thank you all very much.
Thank you for having us.
Happy International Day of the Girl Child to you all. That's tomorrow. Okay. Sunrise will be right back with the home stretch. Do stay with us since you've stayed this long.
Okay. So tomorrow, International Day of the Girl Child.
Yes.
Try.
I may be old, but I'm still a girl child.
I agree. So, so we will celebrate you.
Yes.
But by taking my daughters out.
Fine.
Okay. Just know that you're being celebrated.
No wahala.
So that you will not come and tell me that I did not celebrate you. But while we're doing that, it's also The Arise Women's Conference is here again, that time of the year when we get to talk about the Arise Women's Conference. Ahead of the annual Women's Conference, the Arise Women will be leading a 3-kilometer million man walk. I wanted to be sure of that. 3-kilometer million man walk, tagged Arise Walk for Life.
Everything now is million boys.
Million
walk.
Million man walk. So 1 million people will be walking for life on the 17th of October. The aim of the walk is to create awareness regarding preventive health care for everyone. Preventive health care for everyone, especially now in the midst of this, as we said earlier, that the pandemic has given room for everybody to do like a review. Systems are doing a review, individuals are doing a review. So health for everyone. So that walk will be happening on the 17th of October. But what exactly is the walk all about? What led to this? To help us understand why and what and where and how, we have two people here. Kemi Ijalaye, she's back again, a member of the Arise team. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Also here is Michael Ilega, who's also a member of the Arise team.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you.
Now,
it's all about the women, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's a man.
Well,
yeah, but it's about the women.
It's still Arise Women.
Well done, guys. Well done. So, Kemi, Arise Walk for Life. Some will say it sounds like if you're not walking, you're dead.
Well, staying alive.
Staying alive. Okay, tell us about this.
Okay, so the Arise Walk for Life, the theme for this year is staying alive. Now, we know there's been a lot, over the period of time, and then lots of people have not had avenues to, come out, exercise, and then stay healthy. So we did this last year, and then we're here again having it. And then
I think last year there was some rain.
Oh, yeah, there was, and then we still went out.
Yeah, and you did it under the rain.
Yeah, so we did it last year, and then, everybody would have thought this is not going to happen this year because of COVID and everything. But we're here again this year, and then there's a different strategy to how we intend to move. And how do we intend to achieve this walk? First of all, the team, like I mentioned earlier, is staying alive. And then how do we intend to achieve this walk? You can walk from anywhere because the walk is actually tailored to everybody individually to say, okay, I could come out of my gate wearing the Arise t-shirt with my family members, and we create a cluster to walk together. But over time, we've created, we have over 50 clusters across Nigeria. We've even gone international, basically, this year because we have people all around the globe looking forward to this work. And then, like we mentioned earlier, it's hashtag staying alive, and everybody's looking forward to this work. And then we're like, okay, come out, walk, and stay alive.
Okay. Okay.
Michael, it's not like last year where everyone gathered at a point and set out at a particular time and walked to a particular destination. COVID will not allow that to happen. So she has said there are little clusters everywhere. You can come out wearing your T-shirt. Where does one get this T-shirt to wear for this walk?
Okay, thank you very much. And the first thing you said I would like to speak on is the fact that because of what's going on right now, we cannot gather in thousands like we did last year. So just to add a little bit to what Kemi said, this year we already have registered clusters. First of all over Lagos. Okay. We have in Abulegba, in Shongotedo, in Festac, in VI, in Magboro, in Nikon Town, all over Lagos. We have in Uyo, Port Harcourt, Abuja. Last year we were only in Lagos, but this year we have registered clusters ready to walk in England, in Maryland, in the US, in the Philippines, in Mauritius. These are people that have gotten their T-shirts already, and they're going to walk among themselves. So you said to yourself, we can't gather together everybody. So we're going to have different clusters, and these people in their own communities, in their own families, are going to just go on a 3-kilometer walk on their own. And you can get your T-shirt, you can get your T-shirt directly from us. We can get it delivered to you. We have an Instagram page, AriseWomen_NG. you can send us a DM and we will get your
t-shirt
t-shirt
will get to me
delivered to
via
you.
Instagram or live.
It will get to you live. It will get to you live.
Let's just dash to Ondo. We'll come back to continue this conversation on advising and taking that walk for life. Let's get to Ondo and get to hear from Seun what the situation is at the moment. Seun? Seun, what's your...
Thank you so much, Nata and Alera. So, I mean, we are at where we were before the last time that we had this conversation, that you came right here. Of course, the situation still remains. And look, the queue seems to be a very long one, still very long. And there are major PUs here. Just about 3,000 voters are expected in this place today because there are two major polling units. We'll be hearing so much of security reports and a lot of stories are going online, but you know, of course, that you can reliably get on channel television and get those stories that are true, factual, and the information that you need to know. Let's get some updates on the issue of security around town. One of the senior police officers that are on the ground is called here and is ready to speak with us. DIG in charge of ICT of the Nigerian Police Force, Celestine Okoye, he joins us now to speak to us on the situation of things. Mr. Okoye, thank you so much for talking to us on Channel Television. Let's start by saying I saw very much helicopters hovering around, but we've heard series of reports about violence and security situation. How many people have you arrested? How many people have been injured? What is the latest update?
You saw helicopters moving around. Yes, the air patrol is on, and we are doing it to ensure that the security is extremely in control. Two, we've succeeded in arresting two people that were here. They caused some troubles. Somebody was stabbed. The person is in a hospital, but we've arrested the people concerned. And we are moving more. We are moving out now, out of Akure, to effect more arrests. I'm assuring the public that we'll do our very best. I'm assuring them, and that's why I'm on patrol. We'll do our very best to make sure that this election is hitch-free. Thank you.
Basically, from what we have heard, a few issues of violence so far, apart from the one that happened here earlier, which you're referring to, which other ones can we talk about?
Sometimes we get some reports, but when I visited the areas and I realized that they were just an ordinary rumor. And some people raise alarm. You get there, you don't see anything. So I'm on the ground and I'm moving around. If I see, I will inform you. But all I can assure you now that I'm in Akure, we've not had a serious one.
I mean, you are the expert in ICT, security and technology for the Nigerian police. What can you tell people? How sophisticated is your monitoring and surveillance for this election?
Anyway, we all have the equipment we use, and you'll find out that even the air-to-ground communication is on now. We've not been using it before, but we've started using it. Secondly, as we are talking now, I communicate to my headquarters, and they are getting me. So we are very sophisticated. I don't need to tell you the whole equipment we have on the ground, but we are completely sophisticated. Our telephones are connected, so we are doing our very best. But I can tell you that once you get any report to us, we move straight to the area to assess it.
So what can you tell us about the effectiveness of the compliance to COVID-19 procedures? Because it's also on the doorstep of the Nigerian police to ensure that people pay attention to those protocols and adhere to it. But so far from what you've seen, it's been a uphill task. Nigerian police has not been able to ensure that. Have you?
You can now see we've been advising them to keep social distance, and you ask them, they will accept to keep social distance. After a time they'll come together again, but they have their mask on Like you've seen me, I now look like a good masquerade. But if you charge me, I charge at you as a masquerade is concerned. Thank you.
Before we allow you go, Mr. Okoye, what can you give us in terms of the level of situation and the situation in the riverine area? There are a lot of talks about the possibility of violence, especially in some of the hotbeds that have been identified. In those regions, what do you know as of now?
We have not received reports from the riverine area at the moment. We are waiting, but we are very much vigilant. We are ready, and I have enough special forces around there to encounter any challenge. So, but as of now, we've not received any report.
Celestine Okoye, DIG in charge of ICT at Nigerian Police Force. Thank you so much indeed for talking to us today, and I wish you the very best. You look like a very good masquerade, like you said. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful time. Thank you so much. The DIG in charge of ICT at the Nigerian Police Force on the ground for the monitoring of the exercise. Just before we get back to Lagos, let's speak to one of the observers to get a sense of an overview. I'm being joined by an election observer, Dr. Madu. Is an election observer. Thank you so much, Dr. Nwabu, for talking.
Gabriel. Yeah.
How would you assess the situation so far?
Well, the situation is calm, and election commenced as scheduled. That is, election commenced in most areas at about 8:30, as stated by INEC. And the environment for now is very calm, although we had issues of pockets of violence, but the Nigerian police has taken full control of the environment. Although it's not yet uhuru because the election is not yet over, but the situation for now is cool and calm.
So in terms of the use of the ZIL pad, we've not started seeing it because it has not been full, election is not over. But tell us about the card reader machine and how it has been working so far. From your own observation, what can you tell us?
Yeah, from what we have received across the 18 local government areas, based on the number of observers deployed by the Center for Credible Leadership, the card reader has been of optimum performance. In fact, we are going to give the card reader performance for about 95%. There were 1 or 2 or 3 places where the card readers were malfunctioning, and then the support services as placed by INEC quickly intervened and provided a substitute, and the election commenced accordingly.
Dr. Gabriel Nwabu, thank you so much for talking to us. That's Dr. Nwabu there, one of the election observers on the ground. So far, that's what we know. Alero and Nelta, it's back to you.
Thank you, Sean, our correspondent on ground, with part of the team that's covering the elections in Ondo State. We'll get back to them in the course of broadcasting today. Apparently, everything is
going well.
The
I was going
policemen
to say
are
that
looking
everything
like
seems to
good
be going well,
as they say, and everything's going real good. But let's get back here and talk about this walk for life, right? So, Kemi, before we went to Ondo, Michael was talking about where to get the T-shirt.
Yeah.
But tell me about this. Apparently, there's a dress code.
Okay. Yeah. So the dress code, the basic dress code, is the T-shirt.
Just
so
a T-shirt.
You identify with us. With
plus your face mask. Don't forget that part. That's a COVID type.
And the face cap as well.
Okay. But that's on the 17th.
Yeah.
How does one register? Michael did not answer that bit.
I apologize. On the Instagram page, the details to register are there, but you can head over to a particular website that we created that you can go on. And when you register your name, your contact details, and your area. So before we had about 50 or so clusters in Lagos alone. Certain people didn't have their area listed on the website. So they could register their own area as a cluster, and they could opt to be a cluster head, which means if somebody else that probably lives near them wants to register as well, when they try and register, they would now see the address that they live in, and then they could also register to be in that cluster in that area.
Okay. But what if I want to maybe go somewhere to pick up the T-shirts, where do I go to pick up the T-shirts?
You could pick up the T-shirts directly at the City of David, but because of what's going on, most people are more comfortable having it delivered to them. So you don't have to leave your houses. It would actually just get delivered to you, especially if you're within Nigeria.
Okay. We'll take a moment and then we'll come back to talk about the conference generally and then the walk. Please just stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We're still looking at the Arise Women's Conference. We started talking about the Walk for Life. Yes. So, Kemi, the Walk for Life is part of the Arise Women's Conference, right?
Yes.
So tell us about the entire conference. What's happening?
Okay, so the work precedes the conference. It's an annual women's conference. And this year, it's going to happen on the 31st of October. Deeply Rooted is the theme for the year.
Okay.
And we're going to have our dear Dr. Siju Iluyomade, our convener, and then we're going to have other great women on this day as well. It's going to be a virtual event.
Okay. Well, virtual is the new normal, so to speak.
Yeah.
So who are these other great women that are going to be part of the conference?
Okay, we have quite a number of them. We have the Lagos State governor's wife as well, and then we have a lot of women on that list.
Deeply Rooted. I can imagine. Are men also invited? Because I'm sure Michael's...
Michael will definitely be there.
Okay, so we get major supports from the men. We always need them around. So
okay, interesting.
The last year you had
Bloom.
BJ Sachs performing and all that. So all that is going to be missing this year because it's virtual.
No. Would have we would stream from different locations. We'll have them come up, at different times and different hours of the day.
Okay, so this walk that's coming in clusters, so to speak, from different, are they supposed to be walking with the live and streaming them, or just record and send into that?
Okay.
To help to come in here, last year I know we had BJ Sachs, that came in with the music and everything. This year, after the walk, we're going to have a central location that we're going to have several DJs around. We're going to have fitness instructors like Kathy and Dolly Phillips, where as of right now, we have an 87-year-old woman who has registered and is going to walk from her home. So she's going to have her Arise shirt and she's going to be tuned into the fitness instructors that are going to be doing their dance moves and everything. So even from the comfort of your own home, you can still join us. And to add to what you said about the recordings, people are encouraged to take a lot of pictures and then post it and then send it to us with the hashtag staying alive and walk from where you are. So that's the key point. You can do live recordings, you can take pictures, but just remember the hashtag is staying alive.
And Arise Walk for Life.
Arise Walk for Life.
Arise Walk for Life.
Walk from where you are.
Walk from where you are.
Exactly.
As long as you walk 3 miles.
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
And nobody is making sure that I walk 3 miles. I just walk. If I even walk 1 mile, I could say that I have walked 3 miles.
It's still something.
It's still something you can do.
As long as I'm walking.
Walking. Keep walking.
Great. Great.
Keep walking. Okay. We'll keep walking. Thank you so much, Kemi Ijelaye, the Rice team member, and Michael Ilega. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just before we go, there is this video that's out there that is supposed to be interesting. But for instance, that's the video there. And you see something scrolling at the base saying Akeredolu's wife injured and 3 killed as governor's details invade PU. We'd like to say categorically that this video is a doctored video. It's not what's happening today. This video does not represent what is going on today, and it is not. The scroll bar is different from the scrolls we use. The ticker tape is different from what we use. So please, this video is not true. It does not represent what is happening in Ondo State today. It's a doctored video and does not represent the position of Channels Television. This is the current feed. What you're seeing on your screen at the moment is what's happening at the moment in Ondo State. We have live We're in Akure at the moment, and we have live feed our correspondents are on ground. And in the course of this program today, we've gone to them several times, and we'll still be going back to them in the course of broadcasting today to bring to you live feed of what's going on at the at the polling unit in Akure and different parts of Ondo State. This is what is happening at the moment, not the other video. It is fake. Does not represent the situation currently in Ondo State.
And that is where we close Sunrise for today, the 10th day of October 2020. We shall bring you a fresh edition next week. I'm Alero Edu, wishing you a very happy weekend. And for those of you who live in Lagos, remember, if you don't have to go out, don't go out. Third Mainland Bridge is closed completely until tomorrow at midnight.
So in other words, you can access the island from that axis until Monday morning. So please stay home. Thank you so much for letting us be a part of your day. I'm Neo Tag. But remember, tomorrow is the International Day of the Girl Child. But while you're celebrating the girls, take them out, celebrate them, and also educate the boys to help nurture them so that they can help to mother us and be better people. Have a good day. Bye-bye.